I will call the council meeting of October 9, 2024 to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got the results recently of the community survey that was sent out earlier in the year, and Paul Triolo and Patrick Hewitt, excuse me. Let's do roll call, thank you.
Official, yeah.
Hold that thought.
Official until we're official.
Madden,
Here?
Foster,
Here.
Allner,
Here.
Bilski,
Here.
Perry,
Here.
Silver.
Here. All right. So like I was saying, Paul Triolo and Patrick Hewitt from the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission are here to kind of go over the findings. So I will hand it over to you guys.
Much and good evening. Can you hear me with the microphone? Great. My name is Patrick Hewitt. I am a planning manager with the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. Very excited to be here with my colleague Paul tonight to go over the results of the 2024 Orange Village Community-Wide Survey. Our organization has been proud enough to do this now. This is our third time. We did a survey in 2007, 2014, and now 2024 for Orange Village. So tonight we're going to be presenting the survey results. Today's agenda will include an overview of the process, key survey statistics, key findings, including demographic and survey response findings, kind of next steps where to go from here. Like I said, we were with the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. We are an independent public agency that provides planning services to the communities of Cuyahoga County. That can include things like master plans, corridor studies, also surveys, for instance. Our vision is to inspire all of our communities to thrive, and we do that by providing the resources to our communities and to advance the county's social, economic, and environmental health through equitable community planning. We're here on behalf of a number of folks that worked on this survey, and just briefly, our Executive Director, Mary Serby, as well as our team, including Madeline, Liam, Kevin, Alex, Rachel, Paul, and myself, are very pleased to provide the results. We also worked with the survey team consisting of 5 members of the village, including the mayor, Anna, Mark, Brent, and Bob, who were instrumental in helping put together these questions and evolve this survey from the previous one that we did. So thanks to their hard work and dedication. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Paul, who's going to go through the process and results. Thank you.
Patrick. So to achieve this final survey document, which has been distributed and will be posted on the website hopefully after this, we kind of took 3 main phases. The first being survey design and questions. We drafted questions, worked with the village team, the survey team, to kind of refine those questions and figure out what we wanted to ask. Then we distributed it out. We advertised it in a number of different ways. We designed those advertising materials, and then we monitored results as they came in. The next was taking those results, tabulating them up, and analyzing the responses, which this will give a high-level overview of some of those key findings. So the survey was open from June 14th to July 30th, so about a month and a half. Again, we advertised, we sent a postcard out to all village residents. It was posted on the Orange Village website, on the Facebook page, sent out through Code Red, as well as weekly e-news, and then advertised at various community events, such as Party in the Park, and the Music at the Amphitheater, as well as at a few other homeowner association meetings. From that, we got a total of 432 responses, which is close to 17% of the adult population of Orange Village. We can take that, those numbers, and we were able to project at a 95% confidence level that all the results of this survey are within 4.3%. That's what the margin of error is. So despite it seemingly 432, that's an excellent, excellent response and allows us to be fairly certain in the results of this survey. There were 7 different survey topics which we asked, anything from quality of life, to amenities and events, community values, communication and services, infrastructure and community improvements, and as well as general demographics surveys, questions, sorry. So just to kind of go over some of the key findings, 36.3% of respondents indicated they had children under the age of 18 living in their household, and 49, almost half of respondents had seniors over 65 living in their household. So that can include seniors who took the survey, as well as people who have older family members also living there. We also got a good amount, about 9% of the survey responses were people who worked and or owned a business in Orange Village. So it was good to include that aspect of it as well. For village tenure, for how long respondents lived in Orange Village, we kind of saw two big groups kind of jump out at us. So first, almost half of the respondents have lived in Orange Village for over 20 years. But at the same time, we got about 25 to 30% who had just moved to Orange Village. So big portions of both long-term residents as well as recent people moving into the village. So for quality of life, I know this is kind of small to see, but we asked people, what are the reasons for choosing to live in Orange Village? And those top three are the school system being high quality, feeling safe here, and having easy access to highways came up for the top three. From that, we kind of broke it down by age group. So we wanted to see what people of those different ages thought on why they chose to live in Orange Village. And from there, we can see that younger people, the younger demographic between 18 and 44 who took the survey, their top reason was the school system as being high quality and it being a good place to raise children. On the other hand, seniors, they were more focused on feeling safe in the village, offering the type of housing that they want. Similarly, we also asked reasons why you would potentially move from Orange Village. The top reason was, I do not plan on moving from Orange Village, which we love to see, but also number two being for a different climate is obviously something that isn't in our control, which is good. But again, breaking it down by age group, you can see the younger respondents put a lot of value on being able to walk and bike more places as a potential reason for moving out of Orange Village. And older people, the senior respondents, were more so interested in looking for a retirement-friendly community. We also asked what priorities for community and economic development should the village pursue. The top one that came up, and it was a common theme throughout a lot of responses, was sustainability. We asked an open-ended question as well for this, asking about, is there anything we missed? And a lot of it was preserve green space. We want to see people be able to walk places and things of that nature. We also asked about amenities and events. We asked respondents to rate the quality of both amenities and events, but also the importance of amenities and events. And to highlight here the top five, that being the paved trails, the playground, the picnic pavilions, the community garden, and pickleball courts, all ranked high in both in terms of quality and in terms of importance. So that's always a good thing to see. At the same time, we can kind of see where there's a little bit of difference between where there's a lower quality amenity versus a higher ranked importance. So the dog park ranked fairly low in terms of quality, but was up there in the top 6 in terms of importance. So you can start to kind of see where there's a little bit of imbalance there. Overall, though, we saw 84.9% of respondents rated their quality of amenities and events as good or excellent, and only 1.1 rated them as poor or very poor. Next, for communication and services, this was a very interesting question where we asked respondents how they prefer to receive news and information from the village. The number one was email. And throughout this, we saw a lot of those digital online forms of communication, such as email, social media, the website, increased from previous surveys that we had already done. Whereas more kind of standard, traditional forms of communication, such as direct mail, word of mouth, and newspapers, decreased. People are still getting stuff through direct mail. However, it has decreased since 2016. We also asked about various services that the village provides, one of which being Orange Cares, which is caring about residents empowering service. Only 2% of respondents have used Orange Cares, but almost 40% said that they'd be interested in participating as a volunteer or learning more about the program in general, which kind of shows the potential of that specific program and the benefit that it does to residents. And overall, we saw 89.3% of respondents rate the overall quality of communication and services as excellent or good. And again, only 1.1% rated it poor or very poor. Next, for infrastructure and community improvements, we asked what is needed in Orange Village in terms of infrastructure and improvements. And we saw kind of the top three. Almost 75% of respondents said that parks and natural spaces was either highly needed or needed. Additionally, the two underneath that is bike infrastructure, as well as trail connections and improvements. So again, kind of focusing back on that sustainability as being a kind of guiding principle for the village moving forward, as well as seeing what younger residents wanted to see in their community, being able to walk and bike more places. That's kind of reinforcing that through this question. Finally, we also asked about the willingness to support a levy for new safety service facilities here at Village Hall, and overwhelmingly respondents were in favor of that, which is really good. We also asked about public utilities such as well water and septic systems. And overall, respondents who have their own well water and their own septic systems are generally satisfied with what they have. And for those that are either that are not satisfied, they're split on whether or not they're willing to pay for it. And just to kind of wrap things up, one of the kind of top findings that we found was 96.8% of respondents rated their overall quality of life as good or excellent here in Orange Village, and no respondents rated it poor or very poor, which is really excellent to see, and has actually improved over the course of the iterations that we've done this survey. So that number went from 2007 to 2014, it kept increasing, and it ranks fairly highly in terms of other communities where we've surveyed as well. So again, the next step would be to finally finalize this report, post it on our website, and post it on the village's website so that everyone can dig through and see. This is only a very much a high-level overview of what's in this document. It's 30 to 40 pages of analysis and things of that nature. So I would encourage everyone to kind of look through it and kind of dig in to see where what's happening in the results.
And this will be posted tomorrow to the website, Anna?
Yes.
Okay.
So with that, I'll open up to questions. If you have anything, direct questions, my email is up there, Patrick's email is up there. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions? Yeah, Kim.
I just wondered if the 16.7% survey response rate is, how does that fall with other ones that you do?
So the response rate, a lot of the times that is fairly typical with what we see in terms of other surveys that we've done. For this particular survey, our goal was to get as many adult residents of Orange Village to take it as possible. So that was kind of the survey universe we were looking for. In other surveys, we have done like random sampling of people, but because this was all online, we wanted to have that as the baseline. But I like to put the example of like the national polls for elections. They project based on like 500 people or something. So it's a very good and fairly accurate. Again, doing the statistical analysis, it's a 95%. We're 95% confident that the results are within that 5% margin of error.
Any way to increase the participation?
Um,
Nice list of things.
So the survey is closed, and yeah, in the future, yeah, I think just really pushing it out and thinking back to that question, that response of how people get their news about village happenings being online. I think pushing it out through email and through online means, posting on social media is a great way. I know the village did that, but to increase it in the future, I think that's a great avenue.
I can't imagine anyone didn't know it existed. I think the people that
Yeah.
didn't, the 84% that didn't respond chose not to respond.
Yeah.
We spent a great deal of time discussing how might we best reach the community and get the response. And the challenge is, you can't make people answer the question. So we tried to put it in front of everybody in any way we thought might make sense and could be accessible. And I think we did a really good job of doing that and exposing people to it so that they knew it was there and they just had to have the opportunity to do it. And whether they did it or not, that was up to them. And we're going forward based on what comes out of this. And we have, on the previous two surveys that we did in 2014 and 2007, it was probably similar, maybe even a little less.
Yeah, the results, the survey response rate was fairly similar across all three surveys. Yeah, I didn't want it to seem like I was saying we didn't do a good job for this one, but
I was
yeah.
just curiosity.
All right, any other questions?
Yes.
Do we take comments?
Is it possible to see the individual comments that go with this?
Publish that.
We have all of the comments that are written out in an Excel file, which was sent over to the city, and we can definitely have that posted and shared if needed. But we also, any comment that was in there, we also combed through all, I think it was close to like 1,000 or 2,000 individual written in comments, and we flagged them, categorized them, tagged them based on kind of overarching categories, and was able to analyze them that way. So every comment that was put into the survey makes its way into the survey document in some way, shape, or form.
If we make those available, are they anonymous to someone that asked for them?
Yes, the entire survey itself is anonymous.
Yeah, there are no names on it.
Any other questions?
It's been redacted.
All right, Paul and Patrick, thank you.
Yeah, he had a question.
My experience, this is a very good response rate, but if you want to raise it, typically shorten the survey so that people don't spend so much time doing it, they can focus more on specific subjects and the other subjects that typically how you get a higher response.
Definitely.
First thing we did,
Yeah.
down,
I think, yeah, we based it off of rough,
9 comments in 2014, 59 distinct questions in 59 in 2014, and we reduced that by a third.
yeah, we cut it down to like 20, 25 questions total.
Yeah, I'll just add really quickly, when we did the Orange Village survey in 2014, it was significantly longer. It was 16 physical pages long, and the number one comment we got was to make this survey shorter. We didn't get that as much this time, so great point.
I wonder if we can't do, I know we're talking about breaking a lot of these down into different committees and really honing in on these different topics. I would think that that's something where we can really focus more once those committees are developed on those specific issues within and maybe target those. So there's 1, 2, 3 questions that are specific to that particular issue as we go forward.
I would agree with you on that. It might make sense to maybe have some other questions, perhaps, that kind of go out as we kind of think about what we're going to do with this information. Because as you can see, when you go through the packet, the response rate does continue to decline the further into the questions or the number of questions you get. So by the last question, I think there were only 200 responses. So with over 400 people in total responding to the overall survey. So it's a good point.
Paul and Patrick, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. We're gonna get more lights on and turn the screen off here before we proceed.
I want you to trip.
All right, thanks, Bob. Moving on, I will make a motion to confirm the appointment of Ned Van Valkenburg to the Finance Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Lisa, did you want to?
Sure, I'd like to introduce Ned Van Valkenburg to Finance Committee. He would like to be a working member of Finance Committee, and he's come to a couple of Finance Committee meetings, and he
Make sure you speak into the microphone.
Thank you, sorry. He has great life experiences that will help our committee do its work. And so Finance Committee recommends council approve his appointment, please.
Any questions or comments? Deanna, will you please call roll?
Madden,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Mayor, you want to swear him in?
That's what I came over here to do. Ned, would you like to come up here, please? And stand over here facing the microphone, or facing the camera this way, so you're on. And repeat after me. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Ned Van Valkenburg,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village, and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge my duties as a member of the Finance Committee
discharge my duties as a member of the Finance Committee
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Congratulations. And you can go around and congratulated by the members of council, and one copy to Anna, and you keep the other. Welcome to the team. Thank you.
You're not eligible for this, I don't think, are we?
Moving on, is there a motion to authorize the purchase of 2 heart monitors and all necessary attendant equipment from Stryker Sales at a total cost not to exceed $110,000?
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Jeff, for the second. Chief Genova?
Gotta walk.
Keeping you on your toes.
Get your steps in.
Get your,
Evening. We're looking for, to replace our 2 heart monitors that we have in service. These monitors, one was purchased in 2010, so making it nearly 15 years old. It has surpassed its service life. It is no longer supported if we did need to get that service because parts are just becoming, it's the first generation of the LifePak 15. Parts are a little hard to come by. The other monitor, which was put in service in 2013, as well, it's a little later generation, but in the next year will succumb to its end of life. And these monitors that we're looking to purchase now are also what's that? The two heart monitors, LifePak 35s, which are the latest and greatest. In fact, they just came to market this summer. While we were looking at replacements early in the year, we looked at the different manufacturers. The capability of these Strykers, while they're a sole source through Stryker, they bought Physio Control, they, I lost my train of thought here. These fit, they're basically direct replacements. The continuity that we have with the communication with the hospitals, these new units, the ERs and the cardiology department will be able to live stream our monitors when we're dealing with a cardiac patient. So the direct compatibility with the hospitals is important, the communication. It's also directly compatible with our fleet of AEDs that are in the police cars, in the fire apparatus, as well as one here in the administration building and one in the service department. They're also directly compatible with Stryker-owned our electronic patient care report. So the integration is key. It's proprietary technology. We're kind of excited to get this new technology, and we're getting a trade-in value, which I thought was very generous for, I think they'll just part them out, which is also included in this proposal. So I know it's a big ask, but it's one piece of equipment that we use on the ambulance on every single call.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, obviously the life, safety, and health of our residents is top priority. I just want to make sure that we're going to get the 3,500 and 3,500 credit, because there's not a lot of room if we allow the 110 between what the budget is when this is just an estimate. Is there enough room in there that you can get this done for up to 110, or do you need more leeway on that?
No, the 110 also has a buffer built in. That price includes the $7,000 total trade-in at that 100.
You sure you're going to get that 7? Because otherwise it's going
Yes.
to come pretty darn close. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think it's wonderful. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments?
What's life expectancy?
10 years. So we've gotten extra mileage out of the ones that we have now.
All right, Anna, please call roll.
Madden. Foster.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. All right, is there a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of September 4th, 2024?
So moved.
I'll second
Thank you, Stacy and Lisa.
it. Yep.
Any other, any questions or comments on these? All right, Anna, please call roll.
Madden.
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Vincent. Allner.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. Is there a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of September 11th, 2024? Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions or comments? Anna, please call roll.
Madden.
Yes.
Foster. Vincent. Allner.
Yes.
Bilski. Perry.
Yes.
Silver.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report for August 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kim. I will second it. Dana. Where's Dana? Oh, there's Dana.
Everyone's looking right.
Walk around.
Selfie.
Okay, for August 31st, you have the cash account summary that shows our account balances of $19,471,386.27. And for the month of August, our revenue from all funds was $3,264,000 approximately. And the bulk of that is our property tax collections came in, which we get advances throughout the year, which you're going to see that tonight for the advance tax, and then our bulk payment. So this was one of our bulk advanced payments. And our August expenditures for all funds was just over $812,000 for the month of August. And you have a summary line item for August 31st for the general fund showing that we're at 66% of the year, 8 out of 12 months, and we have collected 70% of our budgeted revenue, and we spent 55% of our budgeted expenditures. And there was no large variances. If you look at that, we're pretty much on target for the month year-to-date expenditures. That's all I had.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments? Will you please call roll?
Madden,
Yes.
Foster. Vincent. Allner.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. All right, is there a motion to approve the tax administrator's report for August 2024? Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
Second.
Ryan? Dana?
So you have the tax administrator report for August, and gross tax collections from all sources for the month of August was just under $493,000, and that is an increase of about $4,300 over August of 2023. Year-to-date, we have $5,040,000 roughly collected, and that's down about $242,000 from year-to-date 2023. We have talked about this in prior months, and we have been tracking the timing of things, but most of the reason for the reduction from last year's is that net profit for businesses are down and individual taxpayer revenue is down, and a bulk of that has to do with working from home versus also businesses that might have in prior years had larger profits as a result of additional COVID funds or ARPA funds that they might have had at that time. So we are trending between fiscal year 22 and 2023, and so we're monitoring that as we go along each month. And September looks like we picked up a little bit of it, of the shortfall that we're seeing, so we should see that next month with the report. That's all.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just want to add, I'll border from my comments later, that Todd Puster, who's the school treasurer, was very pleased and announced the $300,000 that came off of the TIF to the schools. And I just wanted to let people know that they were very happy with that, so.
All right, Anna, will you please call roll?
Madden,
Yes.
Foster.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Allner.
Yes.
Bilski.
Yes.
Harry.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes. All right, moving on, a discussion of the bills to be paid in the month of October in the amount of $515,958.71, and additional September expenses in the amount of $81,611.70. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question. Regarding the monthly retainer for Singerman Mills, $4,224.95. I would just like to know on average how many hours per month the firm is providing as part of that retainer.
Get you that information.
You track it, I'm assuming.
Sure.
I'd like to see it for the entire year as well as the previous year.
Questions or comments? Okay, moving on. Are there any audience comments relating to agenda items only? This is for agenda items. Yeah, there's a section later for comments related to non-agenda items. Agenda items, yes. So if you're here to speak about Lakes of Orange Plat 8, yes, now would be the time. So if you want to line up, if there's Several of you, if you want to line up, is there a sign-up sheet?
There's a sign-up sheet already there.
Please state your name and your address, sign in.
I know it is weird that way. We'll get used to it.
Like it that way.
You staying over there?
I think I like it.
That's fine, I'll adjust.
Liz Gregory, 454 Crystal Lake Drive, and I first want to thank you all for hearing everything that we are saying. We feel that it's making a difference, so I have a lot to say. I thought a lot about this, but I feel like it is a speak now or forever hold your peace moment.
Before you start, I just want to remind everyone that this is intended to be not a dialogue between the speakers and people up
Correct.
here. It's just for speakers to make their comments, just for everyone.
So I just want to start out with a question, which is, does the proposed Phase 8 align with Orange Village's master plan for land use? And I'm going to start by saying I do realize it has already been rezoned, but I am pulling from the 2018 master plan for land use. I am reading from page 20, section 7, policies and strategies for residential. Number 3 says, to clearly define and defend borders between residential areas and non-residential areas in order to ensure that commercial and retail uses do not creep into residential districts and that residences are satisfactorily buffered from non-residential uses. This can be facilitated by evaluating and, as necessary, amending the zoning code to require greater setbacks or more extensive landscaping, screening, and other buffering techniques as a transition between non-residential uses and adjacent residential zoning districts. I feel like Phase 8 could not be more what you're talking about here. It is the only residential area that is going to be next to Swedish Solutions gas station, or Swedish Solutions Automotive, Shell gas station, Eddie Jack's Auto Body, the Barclay Pet Hotel, ERC. I could go on and on. It's really the only residential. And if I reference the September 16th memo from the village engineer, Brian Mader, sheet 2, it states that the rear setback along the north property line does not meet either the U2 50 feet or the U3 60 feet requirement. So in the master plan, it suggests to make the setbacks greater, and not only does it not meet the current, but I believe the last document that I have is asking for a 25-foot rear yard setback, which is half of what would be in a non-mixed zone where you are surrounded by commercial. I also just want to state also from the same master plan, in the commercial section, number 2 this is on page 22 of the master plan for land use in orange. Consistent with the principle, the village will maintain the neighborhood quality, scale, and character of all commercial areas, paying particular attention to commercial buffers and circulation that maximizes the preservation and marketability of the residential neighborhoods. So you guys put it in there twice that it was so important to keep these buffers between residential and non-residential. The last thing that I want to reference from that document is the floodplains, which there is a high-risk flood zone in the Lakes of Orange. And according to the document on the Orange Plan, to prevent the increased flooding in these areas, carefully planning and consideration of flood and storm water requirements are necessary when nearby construction occurs. So I know also in the document from Brian Mader, it is already mentioned that a survey for the streams and setbacks, this all has to be done, and I don't know if there has been anything turned in to the fact of those of the flood plains that exist within our community. a lot here, hold on. So I want to talk about the importance of these buffers that you guys also have said is important enough that you've mentioned it many times. When taking down trees as buffers, which will happen in Phase 8 because the majority of those trees are not in the conservatory, it leaves the community open to safety vulnerabilities. The back of my home does have the conservatory in the backyard, so I'm lucky enough that those buffers will not be taken down. And there's a number of our residents who live in that area. Thank goodness for the buffers, because starting in the spring, it is not uncommon for us at midnight, 1 and 2 in the morning, to be texting each other saying, did you hear the gunshots? How many rounds? Who's calling the police? It is the Warrensville Heights Police that we have to call, because it's not, the gunshots are not happening in Orange. They're happening in the property behind the buffer zone of the conservatory. When we call the Warrensville Heights Police, they say, are you talking about Country Lane? We say yes. They say we're there. It has happened so often that the Warrensville Heights Police have installed spot shotters, which are acoustic sensors to detect, locate, and alert police of the nearby gunshot incidents coming from the area. That's how they can hone in on where it is coming from, because it happens so often. We are protected. When all these trees come down that right now are buffering homes on Lake Victoria, homes on Orange Lake Drive, they will lose their buffer zone. I am not at all saying that they are going to have the same issue of the gunshots, but what I am saying is they are going to be open to vulnerabilities without that protection. The last thing on buffers and trees I want to say is the path that connects, I'm going to call, for all intents and purposes, the original streets of Lakes of Orange, the OG. When the path to the OG in Phase 7 was being constructed, and my backyard, I am 3 houses away, I saw all the construction daily. We were told, I believe it was going to be 4 feet and that minimal trees were going to come down. As my neighbors and I were watching the amount of trees that actually came down, and we called each other and we said, what's going on? This is not what we were told was going to happen. We inquired and we were told more came down because they could not get the equipment through to make the path. So what we were told was coming down, what was approved to come down, was not what came down. Much more was taken down, and those residents directly there are the ones who, in essence, now have to deal with wide open space, and that's not what they agreed to, and that's not what they bought into. I want to talk about safety. I've been told by some of the council members that in order for council to not approve Phase 8 as Lakes of Orange, we have to show, I believe, safety and welfare were 2 of the 3 criteria that have to be met for you to vote that. So I'm going to focus a little bit on safety, but mostly on welfare. So the developer, who I think we all can agree on is very experienced and very knowledgeable, deems the connecting bridge and walking path that was approved by council and by planning and zoning to be so unsafe that children under the age of 15 cannot walk on it without being accompanied by an adult. He feels so strongly that there will be a $500 fine assessed with no warning to parents of children, of anyone age 15 and younger, who walks on the walking path without an adult. If you can imagine the stress and the anxiety of the parents in our community who have middle school age kids, 9, 10, 11-year-olds who are old enough to play outside in their own community, the stress of them worrying about getting that letter in the mail and that assessment in the mail that their child has walked on the bridge without an adult. So I want to talk a little bit about a 15-year-old. This is the number that has been told it is unsafe. A 15-year-old can get a driver's permit in the state of Ohio. So the state of Ohio deems a 15-year-old safe enough to get behind a 2-ton deathmobile, AKA a car. The Red Cross says an 11-year-old in Ohio can take their safe sitter course to become a babysitter. The babysitter will watch a parent's most cherish their children. There's nothing more important to parents than their children. An 11-year-old can do this. But we are to believe that our path is not safe for any of these children. So kids who have friends in the OG and Phase 7 who are in middle school, 12, 13, 14, cannot cross the path to be with their friends. Babysitters who are coming to babysit in the community, which we are one, are not allowed to walk on the path to babysit.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Is this related to Phase 8 at all, the path that you're talking about a lot?
Yes, because we have been told that a similar path will be connected from Phase 8 to the OG. Okay.
He said they're not going to put a path from Phase 8 to the...
He said, but I have the report from the village engineer saying the opposite. I said this at the planning and zoning meeting, dated September 16th from Brian Mader. Phase 8 should have the same connectivity to Phase 1, such as a walk connecting the two phases similar to Phase 7. So I don't know if that has been taken out, but the last we heard, that is being recommended by the village.
Okay, but that's not really relevant to the path that you're discussing. It's
I'm getting to my point.
a completely different path, so.
I'm sorry?
It's a completely different path that you're mentioning to the one that...
Going to be a similar path.
Okay, but...
Okay. Last about the path, besides that it is being deemed unsafe, it is not sustainable. We had one hard rain, and I believe some of us went out there, and the side that is on Phase 7 was already washed partially under, and that's after one rain. So after snow and rain and each season, what is going to happen to this path that is connecting us? So I want to transition, and this goes into welfare. This really is what I'm talking about, is welfare. So I have walked the bridge, I have walked the path, and I believe it is to be safe for these children. I have taught first grade for over 25 years, which is age 6 and 7. So if we're not talking about safety, we're talking about something else. What it is that I am deeming is that the developer wants control. As heard at previous planning and zoning and council meetings, many of the residents of the Lakes of Orange have had personal run-ins with the developer. Many have received emails that make them feel uncomfortable, including threats of lawsuits, loss of privileges, removal of pets, fines, and liens on homes. He has told us he is installing cameras not for our safety, but to capture violations. The language used by the developer toward the residents of the Lakes of Orange is demeaning, disrespectful, threatening, and undignified. We deserve better. We were told at the previous planning and zoning meeting that the developers do not want the hassle of running a community HOA. In that meeting, it was stated that we thought we had enough of the lots turned over to the homeowners to transition the HOA from the developer to the residents. But when asked by Councilwoman Allner if in good faith the developer would immediately turn it over to the residents, the answer was no. At that point, the records show the HOA could have been turned over to the residents 6 weeks prior. What I'm trying to show here is the relationship between the developer, Randy Curtis, and the residents of Lakes of Orange. We have voted a new HOA board and are beginning the transition to begin to self-run. The amount of size and reliefs that have been overwhelming the past 2 weeks during the preparatory process. If City Council approves the land proposed as Phase 8 of Lakes of Orange, some fear the developer will retaliate and continue to try to control our community through whatever means he can. As the developer, he will make the decisions on specific building materials of the common areas and the streets for the new phase. He will decide where the pedestrian path will go, what it will be made of, all with the knowledge that we have taken over the HOA and we have to maintain the areas. Some feel he will deliberately cut corners to save money from his pocket initially and let the repairs fall on the HOA. In essence, we will have to pay if he chooses to use subpar materials and other materials that cannot stand the test of time in our climate. He can also control how long to keep the property vacant after plowing the area and taking down the trees, leaving the residents on Orange Lake Drive and Lake Victoria open to vulnerabilities to Miles Road. Just like he did when he plowed down the trees behind the homes on Lake Mead over 3 years ago to develop Lake Placid. Of his land on Lake Placid, 11 lots sit empty. There is one home built, and there is one lot that was sold over 2.5 years ago, who consequently does not want to build with a developer. We are asking council to vote with the residents of Lakes of Orange to deny any further additions to our community known as the Lakes of Orange. Because our community is already almost 200 lots, and we would actually also like to know our neighbors, we are asking for the peace of mind and our welfare not to have to work again with Randy Curtis, who has caused anxiety and stress to our residents with threats, stronghold tactics, disrespect, degradation, and contempt. I thank you for listening and your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rob Edelstein. I reside at 315 Tahoe Trail, and I'll keep this brief. I would just like to point out that at the initial hearing when this was first read, most of this community that lives in the Lakes of Orange had no idea this was going on. We found out by accident. I also found out that the request was submitted to council on, I believe, on August 21st for the amendment to allow Phase 8. As of August 5th, we believe that there was parity established, and pursuant to the master declaration, Randy no longer had control of the HOA. His votes ceased to be, his lots ceased to be 5 votes, and as of that date were 1 vote. So I would propose that I believe that his submission is void when it was submitted because he no longer represented 75% of the votes. He can't amend his own master declaration, which calls for the need for 75% of the votes. And it wasn't until the Planning and Zoning Commission, when we asked the attorney to go back and review the numbers, that within 10 days, we received a notice that we were entitled to elect a current HOA board that did not include, or that could have included him if he had votes. But we were entitled to have a new board put in, and that vote took place last night. The counting will be done Monday night at the offices of Brian Green. But I don't think Randy, pursuant to his own master declaration, which says he needs 75% of the votes in order to amend that, he has to amend it to include Phase 8, and he no longer can amend it because he doesn't have the votes. So I would ask that his ordinance, or I think it's an ordinance he's requesting, that it be denied based on the fact that he doesn't have the authority to request it. Thank you.
Hi, Bennett Rubin, 558 Salt Lake Circle. Just like to follow up on Liz's comments on safety.
Yeah, I need to hear you.
I'd like to follow up on Liz's comments on safety, specifically sidewalks. That's number one. The village neglected to do the Emery Road sidewalks for Phase 7. Now the development is substantially complete. Tons of kids living there. No access to way to get out of there, to go anywhere, the pool, for bicycling. No sidewalks except for 10 feet on either side of the development. I'd like to know when the village is going to plan on connecting that sidewalk to Brainerd Road. And I'd like to make sure that the village doesn't repeat that same mistake when doing, if they're doing Phase 8, where it's even more dangerous, where you have a downhill slope, you have commercial traffic pretty heavy, and you also have businesses across the street, restaurants, people coming back and forth, and there's going to be no access to come to the village, come to Lakes of Orange without a sidewalk, so people will be walking in the street, subject to all sorts of dangers. I'd like to, make sure the village, again, I'd like to know when Emory Road will be complete, and I also want to make sure that if the development moves forward on Miles Road for what's called Phase 8, that the sidewalk is part of that development and cannot be finished until that's part of it. Also, I don't know what the traffic, I mentioned before, if there's been a traffic study done for the entrance to that development to see if any lights are needed, what else is needed to be done to make sure that's a safe entrance and exit for the people living there. And I don't know if there's any, I mentioned also previously if there's been a, I don't know what you might call it, a sound, test done to know the noise from the highway to those residents, and if this village is going to mandate a wall be put up to protect the residents there from the sound of the highway.
Can I just ask a clarification question? You're talking about trails, not sidewalks. Is that what you're asking about? When you're asking that something be included, are you asking about the trails that
Asking for sidewalks.
Walking, like what we call walking trails.
Currently, the plat for Phase 8 does not include any access to Lakes of Orange, and there is no sidewalk there currently. And if we follow the same path, I won't use the path, follow the same procedure that's followed with Phase 7, there will be no sidewalk. And therefore, it will be very dangerous for any residents living there if they're supposed to access Lakes of Orange. And I'd like to know when the sidewalk on Emory Road will be complete so that the residents in Phase 7 will have a safe access to the village.
Like I said earlier, it's not intended to be a dialogue between.
I know, but
Okay.
thank you very much.
Did you sign in, sir?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Any other comments related to agenda items?
There's one more.
Well, I live in 495 Crystal Lake.
Can you talk more?
Please speak up and into the microphone.
I live in the same community. Yeah, okay.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Rajesh Pidigiti. I live in 495 Crystal Lake Drive North, Chagrin Falls, Ohio 44022. So, my previous neighbor mentioned all the problems. Apart from that, I originally raised in India, so I feel there is more freedom for me in India than living in Lakes of Orange for me. Literally, he was harassing me to an extent that he was picking on each plant. He wants to know which size, and once after the work is done, after 2 years, he's come back me saying that, oh, I want to do inspection. This kind of harassment I never seen even in any other country. I don't know whether I'm living in America or I'm living in a third world country. This is ridiculous state of, the HOA, I speak with your previous mayor. Oh, he will construct and leave from but no, he's coming Phase 8. Later he'll come Phase 9 or Phase 20 or Phase 40. I don't know whether, the councilmen are keep on saying that he has a right to do it. Yeah, but you have to look at the welfare of the people. But at the end of the day, we have to live there. We have to pay taxes. I'm currently paying like $17,000 taxes. I understand 90% goes towards that, and I pay city income tax. So tell them, if you want to move us, we can move out. I don't have a problem. Move to a different city. I work in Akron. I just living there because my wife, we believe in Orange Lakes. Orange City is good, but it seems like not. People, city councilman has to think about welfare of the people, not for the builder. Thank you.
I'm John Cobe, and I live at 220 Lake Mead Drive, Lakes of Orange, and I'm going to be short. So, I have two concerns about Phase 8. The first one I'm not going to spend a lot of time on because I thought Bennett did a very good job. It's the safety issue. He addressed the sidewalks. I'm assuming most of you can envision where this Phase 8 is, and also the sidewalk that will soon be completed that will go up to Brainerd. It's a very busy road. I don't know what the speed limit is, but whatever it is, the cars are going very, very fast. And all I see are young families moving into Phase 8, walking up that sidewalk, hopefully with their parents, maybe with baby carriages, and they're going to have traffic whizzing by them as they try to approach Brainerd to go into the Lakes of Orange to use the recreational facilities. I just think that is a precarious journey with or without sidewalks. Phase 8 ought to have its own pool or its own tennis court. Not that they have to walk on a perilous trip of some sort. The other issue is completely different. I see that as a safety issue. The other issue, it may be a stretch, but I want to bring it up to council's attention, and I'm also going to bring it up to planning and zoning. I have been very concerned for the last 2, maybe 3 years with water runoff within Lakes of Orange. I've gone so far as to help a neighbor across the street from me who couldn't sleep at night because he was so upset that every time we had a rain, he would look out, he and his wife would look out their back window, and they literally had Niagara Falls coming over his backyard land, which had a slight elevation to it. He went to the developer and said, you know, help me. You're building up above me. Developer's answer was, that's the way it's going to be. Once we build the house and we have grass and we have bushes and we have trees, you won't have water in your backyard anymore. This gentleman came to me and he said, John, I don't know what to do. I said, fine, let me look into it. I approached the developer. This goes, I think, to the point of, again, I'm going towards pollution. And I asked that it be fixed, and he said, I'll fix it when the homes are built. Well, here we are, 2.5 years later. Guess what? The homes haven't been built there. The water would still be coming over, but with one exception. I filed a complaint with the Ohio EPA. The Ohio EPA came in at my request. They pulled an inspection. I've got the inspections, which I'll probably bring to planning and zoning. And they found numerous violations that should not have occurred, which were also noted by Brian Mader on his monthly inspections. So we've got this massive amount of water that's flowing through the streets. Large areas did not have planted grass. Pulte was cited for violations relative to their concrete washing bins. When the concrete trucks are finished unloading, the concrete trucks are washed out. They're supposed to pour it into a protected bin. I've got about 200 photos. I've got about 20 videos that show a complete, unbelievable flow of debris, concrete, water, construction material into our pond. Point is, that pond was dredged at approximately $200,000. I asked to see the contract. I was on the finance committee, thought I had a right to see the contract, but he told me the contract was confidential and I couldn't see that contract. Ohio PUD law protects stuff like that if it's deemed confidential, but the material that came out of that pond, I am not a chemical engineer, but you wouldn't want to put your foot in it. That water was drained. They dredged many truckloads with a shovel, powered shovel, and guess where they put it? Phase 8. Now, I was hoping someone from the building department would be here tonight because I wanted to ask Bob, tested? Is there nothing wrong with it? Maybe there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know, but I guess I'm asking council if someone would ask the question, is this soil that came from this pond that the EPA said had a problem, is it all right to build on? Or was something overlooked? And with all due respect to the engineering department, Brian Mader in particular, I asked for inspections. I said, where are the inspections for June? Where are the inspections for July, August? I don't remember the year. But I was specific with my email. Back came the request. Too broad of a request. Can't find the report. Which I responded, come on, Brian. You're a professional engineer, and you can't find an engineering report that you did for Village of Orange for July 2023. So I threatened to do a, what is it called, an FIA form, Freedom of Information, and I think it was 3 days later, I got the reports, and I also got an explanation that a number of reports that were supposed to have been done were not done. I don't know if they forgot to do them or paperwork was lost, but the bottom line is safety. I don't care if sidewalks are there or not. I still fear for the children that will be brought to that pool either by themselves or their parents. And I would like the building department to confirm that the soil that was moved from our pond to Phase 8 is okay. And I'll end with, there's good news here, folks. The good news is we've got a new board. Lakes of Orange has a new board as of Monday night. Some of the people that were here are going to be on that board, I believe. I hope that I'm going to be one of them. You will hear from the Lakes of Orange moving forward. But it's a new day, and we're very excited. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to old business, ordinance 2023-11, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an asset transfer agreement with the city of Solon for the construction of a water main in Orange Village and the Miles Road right-of-way. This is on for third reading. This is related to repairing the water main along Miles Road that has had numerous issues over the years. Is there a motion, first of all, to approve ordinance 2023?
So moved.
Should be 2024 dash. Is that 23 or
2023.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Started last year.
Okay, Stacy did make a motion. I will make a second. Are there any questions or comments? Please call roll.
Madden? Foster?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
You fixed it.
All right, thank you. Moving on, ordinance 2024-21, an ordinance amending subsection 521.06A, duty to keep sidewalks in repair and clean of Chapter 521, Health, Safety, and Sanitation, to require the repair of the village's recreational trails in certain circumstances, repealing certain ordinances and declaring an emergency. This is on for the third reading. Is there a motion to approve this?
And I can sign it.
Thank you, Lisa. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Ryan. Any questions or comments on 2024-21?
I would like to clarify or have somebody clarify, because this comes up every year about the responsibility of the homeowner for the sidewalks, even in an HOA, that you're responsible for the sidewalk that's sit in front of your house, correct? So if there's snow covering it and you clear the snow and it's icy and somebody slips, that becomes your liability, no? Or how does that work?
State of Ohio has a fairly firm rule that during the wintertime, unless you create the hazard, so don't go out and spray your sidewalk with a garden hose and put ice down on it, because then you'll be in trouble. But there are so many accidents that happen, people just walking from the driveway to the front door where you have a sidewalk there, that the Ohio Supreme Court has said natural accumulations of ice and snow do not result in liability. Now, we still have the requirement of sidewalks being kept clean. And then, of course, that doesn't apply to the recreational trails. But what this does is if somebody's damaging the sidewalk, they're going to be held responsible. We've had a number of contractors who have caused harm, and we want to make sure that the building department has the ability to say, hey, you got to fix that.
In the winter, I mean, our services department does a phenomenal job of cleaning the trails every year. Thank you to all you guys do. You're out there first snow and getting rid of it. But is the recommendation that the homeowners clear that sidewalk area if they're in a development that has sidewalks?
Related to the ordinance.
Recreational trails.
This is
Just for the trails?
Your question isn't really related to the ordinance here.
That's the existing ordinance.
That's what I'm asking. I just want the clarification.
Has a sidewalk, not a recreational trail, but a sidewalk in their front yard. They're supposed to keep the sidewalk clean in the wintertime.
I want it, because 52106 is about the sidewalks, not, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Questions or comments? All right, Anna, please call roll. Sorry, this is third reading.
Madden,
Yes.
Foster,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Allner,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Harry. Yes. Silver.
Yes. Ordinance 2024-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 1375, tree preservation of the codified ordinances of Orange Village and declaring an emergency. This is on for the second reading. It has been referred to planning and zoning. Has it been discussed by planning and zoning?
It has been discussed at Planning and Zoning. We had a work session on it at our previous meeting. The planner is in the process of a rewrite that will be made available prior to the next meeting, and then it'll be finalized at the next Planning Commission meeting,
Which is next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Any questions or comments on this? Okay, moving on. D, ordinance 2024-23, an ordinance approving the subdivision plat for Phase 8 of the Lakes of Orange development. This is on for a second reading. I know came before Planning and Zoning a few weeks back. It was not at last week's Planning and Zoning. It'll be on next week, I assume? Okay, Steve, can you give an update where we are with this in terms of any changes that have been made since?
Well, I don't know that there have been, I think there have been some technical changes in terms of adjusting the lots, and to the extent that one of the lots may require a setback variance, they're going to be aware of that before they get approval. They will also be required to put together a development plan. Both a preliminary plan and a final plan that will go in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission that will deal with a lot of the issues that were raised this evening in terms of access and walkability and that sort of thing. So this is just a step in the process that, if their plat complies with the zoning code, the village technically under state law has 30 days to approve the plat, or they can seek an order requiring the village to give them that approval. We've worked with them to get an extension of that because of technical issues, and they've had to withdraw the plat. So I don't think the time has begun to run, but it will be running in a little bit, and if they comply with the code, they'll be entitled to have plat approval. That's a step in the process, but there are other steps that have to be followed with respect to development plan approval.
Number of questions when you're.
I know at Planning and Zoning a couple weeks ago, there were two items on the agenda. One was the approval of the plat, which is this. The other was the approval of Phase 8 into the HOA. Is that something that council would have to approve as well? Because that hasn't been on the council agenda.
No. The approval is by the administration. If there is plan approval, And, I mean, this is the first step. If there's subdivision approval, subdivision plat approval and plan approval, then, you know, there's probably no basis for the village to say no to adding it into the homeowners association.
I do. I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry, but I did attend the planning and zoning meeting, which was heavily attended by Lakes of Orange residents. And I really took notes, and I tried to listen to all sides. I also will note, I try to listen to both sides. I reached out to the attorney for the developer and suggested that I was interested in speaking directly with the developer, but have not heard from him. So my knowledge is mostly based on what residents have had to say. I do have some questions with respect to the developer filed the new ordinance request on August 21st, but he did lose financial and organizational control effective August 5th. So did he or did he not have the legal authority to request the village council for an ordinance for any additions to the HOA? Because he did not obtain 2/3, 66 2/3% of resident approval. Does he have that right, or is this moot?
Under the homeowners association documents, you need to distinguish between the homeowners association and the developer. The developer has the right to request additions to the development. The homeowners association does not have the right to either request that or deny it. So they're separate legal entities, and he has the authority to make the request. And, you know, frankly, there's no basis under our ordinances that we can say no.
That's what Mr. Edelstein brought
Actually,
up, correct? That's what he was asking about. Yeah.
you mentioned something actually at the planning and zoning meeting, Steve, and that was if the safety, health, and welfare of the residents was at issue, that would be reason to deny this. You please expound upon that?
If there, we need to be certain that we're following our ordinances in making these decisions. There is no ordinance that authorizes the denial of the request to add it to the homeowners association. If there were some issue, and it were to, let's imagine that a physical nuisance was created. At that point, we could say, hey, you need to address that. But nothing has been brought to our attention that rises to that level. And so in the absence of an ordinance that says, here are the reasons you can say no to somebody for that request, I think we have to say yes.
Well, I guess I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm happy to be educated, especially since this is the second reading and we have time to do some homework. First of all, if there, I don't know what was dug out and put onto that property, but certainly somebody should look into that. But given the fact that, and I've been a proponent of looking after the mental health of our residents since I was running for election. If you will recall, during that election night, what was a pressing issue that I thought for the village, and I said the mental health. And the mayor can report later, I'm sure, about the meeting that we had about the call program. So consistent with my concerns for the mental health of our residents, I've heard from no less than 30 residents of that development about persistent and egregious harassment and harassing behavior towards them from the developer. I'm very concerned about their mental health, and many of them raised their concerns about their own mental health and the mental health of their neighbors to me. So when we look at the health and the safety and the welfare of our residents, I think we need to consider their mental health as well. I can't imagine living under the conditions that have been alleged. I would have moved. Honestly, like some of the things that I've heard, and again, I reached out to hear the developer side. I always want to hear all sides. But the things that have been alleged and the letters and such that have been provided to me are, in my opinion, egregious and harassing. And they do affect people's mental health. I'm not suggesting that the developer cannot build on property that he owns. I know that you are a proponent that a landowner can build on their property. What I am suggesting is I don't understand why it would be part of Phase Why would it be a phase 8, an additional phase of the existing HOA? Additionally, I am concerned about the recreational facilities that were put in, a pool and such, and having people from the new phase 8 access it walking along the sidewalks on the busy roads. I do think that's a concern, among others. But I would like to have some further discussion about that, because I guess, did I misunderstand what you said at the last meeting? Because you specifically cited health, safety, and welfare.
That is the constitutional requirement for any municipal ordinance, that it has to protect the health, safety, and welfare. We don't have an ordinance that addresses the consideration of the mental health of residents in any circumstance. We're not in the, I don't think anybody, I don't know.
It's subjective.
I don't know who's qualified up. You're a medical professional, but I don't know who's qualified up here to diagnose and determine mental health issues. So, but that in no event is that in our ordinances that you're authorized to consider the mental health of neighbors in making determinations. That
Why would you bring that up at the planning and zoning meeting?
Because if there were something that created a health hazard, and I'm not saying mental health hazard because I'm not sure anybody here is qualified to make that determination, but if there were some nuisance aspect of it, we'd have a conversation with the developer and see if we can get it taken care of. I think that the pressure that's been brought to bear on the developer has resulted in the developer giving up control of the homeowners association, which is a good step in the right direction.
So I don't mean to be ignorant, but can the developer then add that into the homeowners association, or is that done? I mean, he still can add in a phase 8 and make that part of Lakes of Orange, or not?
Yes.
So he still can do that?
Yes.
And
Get back control then? He can't get control back after he starts building phase 8, or can he?
Can he control the homeowners association after it gives it up? No.
Yeah, he won't. That's not possible. So, all right.
Not unless he's voted in.
Right.
Would, if he's given 5 votes per lot, as I've heard that's what happens.
Well,
would he
probably
then
not
have
enough.
The percentage control again.
Once, I did not read anything in the homeowners association documentation that said he gives up control and then could take it back. I think once he gives up control, that's the end of his control of that aspect.
But I guess I'm still concerned. You sort of have a never-ending process here. There's still land in Orange. He can have a phase 10, a phase 11, and keep adding them. And you're shaking your head no, but I really.
Contiguous. There's no contiguity. Trying to get the right word. Contiguity of another parcel that could be considered, and to make a, if you will, a checkers move and jump 2 over and say, okay, this is now going to be part of that, doesn't make any sense, and there would be no reason for consideration.
He said he wouldn't do that, and his lawyers said they wouldn't do that.
And his lawyer said he would put in writing that phase 8 would be the last phase.
Wait a second. These people bought homes with being told that there was a limited number of phases, and I apologize. I probably should ask the mayor to not comment and abstain. But they were told there were a certain number of phases, and they continually are adding to it, and it becomes a fairness issue. And I would suggest to you, Mr. Byron, that I would like some research regarding mental health. That is part of health. That is part of welfare. It's a concern.
Yeah, but the other problem too, hopefully we can just have this open conversation here. Even if we vote him down or vote no against this, he can still go build something. It just won't be part of Lakes of Orange, right? Isn't that what?
Yeah, I mean, if
that's okay though?
They don't mind that.
But but he's still, and I hear everything. I want you guys all to know I feel awful for all of you who live there, because from everyone we've heard, again, also heard from a lot of people so far, and it sounds like a terrible situation. It's your home, and it shouldn't feel that way, especially at your home. Your work is one thing, but home, definitely not. But if he's no longer involved with the HOA, right? After, is that correct? No, he still owns lots, but financially and operationally, he can't tell any of you what to do anymore as part of the HOA. And even if he started building on this land that he already has the ability to build on, he still can't tell you what to do, right? Right. That's good to know. I don't know. Again, we have to obviously do what's still legally correct, and I don't know. Do we have anything else that we can provide in this venue at this moment, as a suggestion to our homeowners or our residents, to try to find possible outcomes or possible courses of action that they can take that are legal?
I think the fact that they have acquired control of the homeowners association will certainly, I hope, alleviate the threats and all the rest of that from the homeowners association. People are going to get fined and all the rest of that stuff.
Right.
The control of that organization will now be in the hands of the residents, which is logical and makes sense and eliminates some of the concerns. The issues that the village council has to attend to are the administration of its zoning code. And you can't just say many people are upset by something and so we have to vote it down. That's not going to be sustained. You're a lawyer, you should know that.
Mr. Byron, I do know that, but I don't practice in this area of law, and I do have a right to ask questions, particularly because many of the questions come from the residents directly to me that they want them asked, and they would like some answers. And I think that we owe them that. I don't think there's anything wrong with pushing this. The other thing I would say, as an attorney who has negotiated contracts, I can't understand what the heck was negotiated by Orange Village. I have to assume that you, as the attorney, were involved in that some years ago, because apparently there was something negotiated on behalf of the fact that said that for some reason Orange Council had to approve of something.
Mayor requested it, and the other side put it in.
She requested something that had no value, no teeth, and there was no legal advice given to her that said, you're getting something that says nothing? I mean, I don't understand what was the value of it.
Something, oftentimes that's the thing that happens, and then you deal with the issue later on. And we're dealing with it now.
Does a new HOA administration have the right to rescind that and bring that before us to say, this doesn't come before council any further, this is an HOA decision on whether or not they want to expand or not? Is that something that they, as a new homeowners association, could renegotiate?
No, because again, the right to add territory to the homeowners association, to the development, is held by the developer, not the homeowners association.
All situations?
Yes.
Well, I'm only talking about this one here because this is the one we're dealing with. There may be other homeowners association documents out there for other associations that don't have the same words.
In other words, if a developer wanted to add on to Orange Hill, that was a contiguous piece of land, does that developer get to make that decision, or does Orange Hill?
More.
We'd have to look at the homeowners association documents.
So it is an HOA document that was agreed to with. That's where I'm struggling with why is it our responsibility to tell them yes or no? I don't.
Yeah, it's not about the HOA. It's about what the developer had the approval to do as a developer. It has nothing to do with the HOA, of which he's no longer even part of.
Right, but on that point.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sorry, Mr. Byron, that I'm not as intelligent as you are on these issues.
We'll make it like that.
What I don't understand is why bother putting something in to the original.
I don't think there's anything we can do about it today, unfortunately. I hear what you're saying, but
No, this village pays over $4,000 a month as a retainer for legal advice. I would hope that our attorney would be representing our interests.
I hear he has commented though that there's nothing that we can change today.
If the mayor requests something and it's not patently illegal, we can put it in there. And they agreed to it. And you know.
So what teeth does it have? It has no value.
I don't think it has any value. If the village
Did you tell the mayor at the time that it had no value?
That I recall. And this is a long time ago, too. I mean,
I just know that when I'm asked to do something by my clients, if it has no value, I tell them that.
yeah, I understand.
Is there any way that houses can be built on the property and they're not part of Lakes of Orange? Yes. Okay. How logistically, how does that work? Like, what's the process?
If the developer withdrew his request to add it to the homeowners association,
So it requires action by the developer for that to happen.
What you're saying, again, is that he's made this request to the village, but that we don't really have the right to say no to it.
he has requested the subdivision, and there's also a development plan. He's required to have a homeowners association because this is going to be common area and that sort of thing. The question of which homeowners association is, he has the right under the development plan to add with the written consent of the village. If we approve the development plans and don't have a basis for saying no to adding it to the homeowners association, or adding it to the existing development, he could appeal our decision and a court could compel it to occur.
We don't take questions at this point
I think what I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think what so many of us are struggling with is this whole notion of why can't we say, yes, develop, as you want to, but no to attaching to the HOA with them? Because I know, I hear what you're saying, but I've been struggling with this as a member of Planning and Zoning, as you know, because I've reached out to you. I see issues. I hear what they're saying. I'm listening to what I do see as safety and welfare issues. And if I were a resident there, I mean, I don't know that I'd want to be a resident there. And the one thing we want is we want our residents here and happy. And we want to, and I don't know from a legal standpoint, because that's not my area of expertise, what our role on council is as far as what we can say to you for what is your recourse to solve this issue without moving, because we want you here. We want our residents to be happy. The worst thing that could happen is this group of people says, forget it, we're leaving. I mean, going to another area, hopefully, in Orange or whatever. But I don't know that it behooves anyone to approve a plat that would have to have it be part of Lakes of Orange, the Phase 8 of Lakes of Orange, and everybody who's in Lakes of Orange is moving out because it's just not the right thing for them. That doesn't help Phase 8. That doesn't help Phase 1 through 7. That doesn't help our residents. It's a struggle. I mean, it's a real struggle trying to wrap our head around legislation that was done before any of us, I don't know if Lisa was on, but before most of us were even sitting on this, up here. So I'm struggling because I do hear safety, welfare issues. I do hear issues that would, in my mind, preclude it from being part of that homeowners association. And I'm also struggling with the other side that says, legally, we have no reason to say no, because that doesn't make sense to me. So I'm struggling. I'm struggling with it.
A zoning question for the gentleman raised a concern about the lake and contamination. Do we have any obligation to test that, or once that question is raised, go into welfare and health?
If there are concerns regarding the environmental condition of the soil that's been laid out, I think,
whose liability is that? The HOA, the builder?
Going to be whoever deposited on the property. I mean, the environmental laws, anybody who touches anything is responsible for it. So, the association may have some responsibility for it because they were owner of the pond.
That go back to the builder originally? If the builder's out, then it's the HOA. I'm just saying, who would fund that?
Any kind, if there's an environmental problem, every owner who has touched the land is at risk. for environmental liability. I'm not an expert in the area.
It's a
But,
general question because
yeah, you know,
All right, are there any other comments or questions? So this is the second reading, we're not voting on this tonight. This will be presented at Planning and Zoning next week, the 15th. Is that here in this room?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be here on the 15th.
I have one more.
Yes.
I would just like to request that the developer be requested to have, not his attorney, he can be with his attorney, but the developer be requested to have a sit-down with council and respond to us. And perhaps if he hears that enough council people are unhappy about this, maybe he'll change his mind. Maybe not, who knows? I don't know, since I've never had the pleasure to meet him. But again, I am concerned that, you know, it sounds like years ago we negotiated something that had no meaning, and because of that, we have a number of current residents who are stuck. And I think Stacy and I again, I'm going to put words in your mouth listening to what you say, and I certainly don't speak for anyone else up here. We're struggling. We want to help our residents and our neighbors.
We all are.
I agree.
So I would suggest that perhaps, and since the mayor is a resident of Lakes of Orange and has abstained from anything with it, which is understandable and commendable, perhaps Mr. Silver, as president of council, could arrange this. I'm very concerned. We've never had an issue, and again, I'm new. I've never had an issue where I got so many phone calls and emails and stopped on the street, and numerous people, and not one person, not one, was on his side, other than his attorney at Planning and Zoning, who frankly didn't seem to care. Thank you.
Okay. Questions or comments regarding 2024-23? Okay, moving on, new business. Resolution 2024-12, a resolution of support by the Village of Orange, Ohio, to hold the 2030 Special Olympics in Cleveland, Ohio. Mayor Klein, did you want to speak to this?
Sure. Thank you. The Mayors and Managers Association of Cuyahoga County has requested that communities offer this resolution of support to bring the Special Olympics to Cleveland, Ohio in 2030. The Cleveland Sports Commission, Cleveland Visitors and Travels Bureau are all working together very hard to encourage the Special Olympics to be here in Cleveland, and we're just being asked to throw our support behind it, and therefore this resolution was created, and I'm asking for approval this evening.
Good. Any questions or comments?
I'm just wondering, in the second one where it says, whereas Special Olympic athletes represent even more Heart, More Drive. I mean, obviously, all of our Olympic athletes have that. I'm just wondering if we could change it to, you know, represent something like the epitome of the best, or represent, you know, in other words, make it a positive, but not, as a friend of mine says, more better than something else. You know, rather than even more, just saying represent the epitome of the best through heart, drive, and spirit, and just eliminating the more. Just a thought.
What's the process for changing a resolution, Steve?
Motion to amend it?
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
Not clear. This language came to us as part of the form resolution, so you'll need.
Is this what other councils are approving exactly as is? I mean, I'm happy to make that suggestion for all, but I mean, it's not wrong as is.
We can't amend it.
Okay. All right, then I'll make that motion to amend, and I'll give you verbatim.
He's
Yeah.
saying you can't, I think.
I can't.
I think he's just saying you can't.
Say it now so everybody knows what they're voting on.
Sure. So I would say, whereas Special Olympic athletes represent the epitome of the best through heart, drive, and spirit, and dedication to preparing. Just eliminate the words more and add the epitome of the best through. Also, just as a standard, the number 8 should be spelled out as EIGHT.
Yeah.
Mine.
I'm fine with your changes. I agree with them.
Thank you.
Do you want me to write it on your second?
8 years, but then there was something else. She'll eliminate something.
Getting rid of more and have it the epitome of heart, drive.
You have the epitome of the best through heart, drive, spirit, and dedication to, and then the rest stands. I'll write it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'll-
Yes. I made that motion and
Seconded it.
Second, okay. Any other comments?
I got it.
All right, Anna, please call roll.
Madden? Foster?
Yes.
Vincent?
yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Silver?
Yes.
Now, is it just
Is that to amend the
to
language?
amend it? Now we have to do,
Yeah, so that was to amend the language. I will make a motion to pass resolution 2024-12. Is there a second on that?
Second it. I'll second it.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Any questions or comments on the resolution as amended? Please call roll.
Madden?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Vincent? Allner?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Silver?
Yes. All right, moving on. Resolution 2024-13, a resolution requesting the fiscal officer to advance taxes in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency. Dana, is this you, or do you want to address this?
Get in those steps.
This is, I can do it. I don't know if you, we do this every year. The Ohio Revised Code allows the county to collect taxes and immediately forward them upon receipt. And she was mentioning that August, we got the big chunk of the July payments. This allows them to pay immediately rather than waiting until the entire settlement is done and giving us a large chunk at the end. So you get your money faster doing it this way, which is why we pass this every year.
Sounds like there's no reason not to pass it. All right. Is there a motion? Did I make a motion? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-13?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Jeff. I will second it. Any questions or comments? Anna, please call roll.
Madden? Foster?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Allner?
Yes.
Bilski?
Yes.
Perry? Yes. Silver?
Yes. Are there any audience comments related to matters which advance the good of the village?
Make sure you sign in, please.
He's getting your steps.
Grace.
I'll be brief, but
Please sign in, and again, state your name and address.
You can sign in.
You can sign in after you speak, Mr. Kolb.
Signed in.
I just think,
Already signed in, John.
thank you.
You have to
John
sign twice.
Cope, 220 Lake Mead Drive, Orange Village. Okay, so I'm not a lawyer, but Steve, I think you made a couple of statements tonight that I don't think are 100% correct. One statement you made was you can't, everybody who somehow touches the pond or a pollution issue, everybody's involved. There's sort of like some passing of the football on a pollution issue. I've spent a lot of time with the EPA. They don't like me coming to their office anymore because I've made them come and do work in the Lakes of Orange. And the point I'm making here is this: July 12th, 2021, I go to the developer and I say, I'm really unhappy with the debris that's going into the pond because we're going to have to dig it all out and clean it. But the mistake I made was I didn't read our declarations, because our declaration said the developer at the end of the construction period was responsible to do the cleaning. On July 12th, 2021, Randy did a transfer of a piece of real estate within Lakes of Orange. He didn't transfer the pool. He didn't transfer the recreational building. He didn't transfer the tennis court. What do you think he transferred to us? the pond. The only thing the developer has transferred to the owner is a pond that he knowingly knew had to be totally dredged and cleaned out per EPA standards. I went to his office and I said, that was wrong. That was not the proper thing. You transferred us a problem. And I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think that was right. And why did you do it? You know what his answer was? Because I could. Because I could. I said, okay. The other thing that I think that was said here tonight, or I felt it was said, is, Steve, I think you said something along the lines of, Randy has the right, because of something that somebody agreed to back in 2014 that doesn't make any sense. They agreed to have no guardrails to now give us the problem we're dealing with today. Carte blanche, do what you want to do. But I think what you're overlooking is we, as a new HOA, as far as I know, based on legal advice we are obtaining, we now have the legal ability to vote an amendment to change his right to add Phase 8 to the HOA. That's what we've been told, that we have that ability because we now control the votes. He doesn't have the votes anymore. We're going to write an amendment. I put in an order today for the amendment to no longer add lots, phases to the HOA. We're going to have to get it signed by the number 75% was noted tonight. That's not right. It's 66 2/3. And in my last HOA in North Carolina, you're looking at a guy that got 100%. So I'm not going to have any problem getting 66 2/3% of the residents saying they don't want this. So I submit to you, Steve, this isn't going to happen according to our HOA lawyer. And this new board is going to do everything in its power to do whatever we have to do to legally support what we think is right. We're going to take the $25,000 out of our lawyer account to fight discrimination claims, of which we have a few, and we're going to move that money into a lawyer account to do whatever we have to do on this particular piece of legislation.
Thank you.
Hi, Amanda Kurland, 150 Valencia Circle. I'm here today to share part of the reason why I'm opposing the rezoning of New Song Church property, also known as Issue 32. When I ran for public office, I spoke about many issues facing the village, and the main one that resonated with the residents that I spoke to was that of overdevelopment. Overwhelmingly, people want the character of Orange Village to be maintained, and there are enough high-density projects already in the works. Where are we going to draw the line? How are we going to preserve what's left of Orange Village? Indeed, when public hearings were held about this specific project, the majority of residents that spoke were against the project. A point that I have not heard brought up in this discussion is one about that once the zoning change has happened, what happens next is out of the voters' hands. You can be promised one thing and delivered another. In fact, that has happened with both of the last two zoning changes. Pinecrest Residential was sold to voters as having a maximum of 10 units per acre, which would be 174 units. However, at the last school board meeting that she attended as mayor, Kathy Mulcahy announced that she had approved 324 units in that space. More recently, the Pinecrest South, also known as Omni or Vitalia development, was passed with the understanding that there's a 37.4 acre park would be preserved for the village. But in June of this year, Mayor Klein added to wording to Ordinance 2024-11, authorizing him to enter into an agreement with Omni that he can build a new fire department on that land. This land was passed through the Western Reserve Land Conservancy for the purpose of conservation, not building. Beyond the precedent that this rezoning would set the village up for. The voters should keep in mind the precedent the village leadership has set in handling of the rezoned land. So I strongly urge every resident to vote no on issue 32. Thank you.
Hi, Lakes of Orange people. My heart goes out to you. I'm Angela Ugrin, and I've lived in Orange Village for about 25 years. And this is the first time I've stared at my own government a little dumbfounded here. I'm asking myself, is this really happening? We can talk all day about whether rezoning New Song Church for high-density housing is a good idea or not. I think it's a bad idea. I want you to vote no as well. But I want to put that aside for a moment and address as what I see as the most salient concern we all share, everybody in this room. I'm a political science professor, and I spend a lot of time thinking about what makes good government. And sadly, everything about the issue 32 proposal from the very beginning is a textbook example of bad government. This proposal has involved, among other things, a blatant disregard of our master plan while simultaneously justifying that it's perfectly okay to do that. Multiple conflicts of interest involving both personal and financial matters. A lawsuit by a developer to force this issue to ballot in spite of our charter. Trying to trash our zoning laws for the express purpose of increasing the return on investment for a business. Yeah, Mayor Klein told Chagrin Valley Times in August that he wants to see this zoning change to help a business make more money. How on earth is this happening? As if this weren't bad enough, now we have selective enforcement of village laws. Orange Code regulates the size of political signs, and right now there is a giant non-compliant sign in front of New Song Church. And 1 week ago, Mayor Klein told me in an email, quote, "I am aware of it and we have addressed this with the developer who will be replacing the sign." What? Why was a third party asked to remedy a violation on somebody else's property? And 1 week is a really long time during an election season to allow this code violation to exist without a citation. Why is this favoritism happening? Good government involves enforcing laws fairly. Yeah, I know it's a sign. Small potatoes, some of you might think, but it's not. This sign is a symptom of a larger problem. Democracy demands equal participation, equal application of laws. And I am deeply concerned about the integrity of Orange government right now. The mayor is fostering Washington-style politics in our village. The process behind this ballot issue does not pass the smell test. And this sign business is a sign of more problems to come.
Liz Gregory, 454 Crystal Lake. We were all excited, and you guys were all excited to hear that we have control of our HOA, but we don't. If what Law Director Byron is saying is true, that we have control of our HOA, but the developer can, at his own will, add to our HOA, it doesn't do us any good to be in control because we are not. I also thought it was either the last council meeting we discussed this or at the planning and zoning, that it was said that you guys don't have any control vote or anything on HOAs. So I'm trying to figure out why then you are telling us we have to allow Phase 8 in our HOA. The financial burden is going to be too great to us. We have seen that with what John Kolb said, the $200,000 bill that should have been paid by the developer that we paid. I don't understand how all of this business is I don't know. I'm kind of speechless at this point.
Bennett Rubin, 558 Salt Lake Circle. Yeah, actually, I've been living here probably longer than most people. I helped Kathy Mulcahy get elected back when, so it's been a real long time. I unfortunately made a request not in the appropriate moment. I would like to request the documentation to support the comments that were made regarding the developer has the ability to make a decision without the HOA. I'm sure there has to be some written agreement somewhere to support that.
Give me your email. I can email to you the homeowners association documentation.
I have the homeowners, you said there was a developer plan that we were talking, you were referencing a developer plan, not a homeowners association document.
Well, the right to add to the association is within the homeowners declarations. The development plan is something, I don't think we have the preliminary, or do we? Okay. The preliminary development plan would come in after the subdivision is approved. So there's an order to the way the village handles development requests, and the subdivision plan is one of the first steps on that. They will put in a preliminary development plan, and at that time it would be available for anybody to see. It would become a public record. You don't have it now.
The HOA documents, which I do have a copy of, because I've previously requested that, it does say the developer can add property without the HOA approving that. Then number two, on a lighter note, I'd like to, based on that survey and as a participant in the community gardens, I'd like to know if the council is considering expanding that with the expansion of people living in this village. There is an overflow of people looking to get into the community gardens. There's a significant waiting list to my knowledge, and there appears to be plenty of land behind it. I don't know, it appears to be important on the survey. Is that something that the council would consider doing?
I think we asked about it previously.
That was in a previous.
We will be discussing it this winter.
Lisa.
To the microphone, please.
This winter, I think that we will, the right people, be talking about the potential for adding on. There really isn't a lot of room to add on, but we're always trying to see if we can get another extra lot in or two and still have enough room. But there's a lot of shade in the back, which isn't desirable, and it's right up against the lot line on the
Left side, yes.
the east side.
East side, yes.
So it's not really possible
Okay.
to do a major expansion, but this is the first time that we've really sold out. So it may take us a little bit of time to catch up and figure out what we could do. Anna put out a message very recently to the gardeners saying, if you only want half of a plot,
I saw that.
a creative way of helping more people get into.
Good evening, Jim Boyle, 31399 Fairview Drive. I am here to speak on issue 32. And it kind of rapidly evolving into a beat up on the developers meeting here, and I generally don't think that that's productive because, you know, look, it's going to be on the ballot, we'll have our opportunity to look at it, but I think it's important for the 7 council members and the mayor to understand what they're dealing with this individual. When I got first saw the yard signs, and I'm not going to talk about the size. Ed, I have the emails. I'll give you a copy so you can read them. The issue with the sign, I don't really care about the size. I really don't. But when I get the thing in the mail, what I look at, I too am a political scientist of some sort. I look at this and I look at what isn't on the literature. What isn't on it is who paid for it. Doesn't say anywhere on the literature who paid for it. We have every single one of you, Jeff, I apologize I didn't look for you yet because you're new on council, but I went down and I pulled your designation of treasurers, and all of you know that. When you run for office, when you're involved in the political process, you
down, you open up. The first thing we did as a group was set up a PAC, a political action committee, because you cannot, under law, collect money, spend money, without going through a political, organized political aspect so that we, the public, can see where the money comes from. And no, you cannot pay for it with KJI or any other entity. We all know that, all 7 and 8 and the mayor as well, because all of you have filed your designation of treasurers. So when this comes in the mail, and when the mayor's aware of this giant sign out there, nobody looks and says, hey, wait a minute, who paid for this thing? None of them. I did. And again, just like with the tax exemption there, I'm not that smart. I really am not. But these are basic stuff that you guys have, the mayor and the charter, you're responsible for enforcing our laws. Not Jim Boyle, not some knucklehead with a law degree. You guys are. You knew that this sign was out of compliance. Your law director should know that this is not in compliance. I filed with the Secretary of State on September 30th saying this is out of compliance. I filed a complaint with the Ohio Election Commission indicating that it was out of compliance. I went down to the Board of Elections and told him it was out of compliance. And rest assured, he will be cited by all of those and fined. This is who you're dealing, this is who you guys have put all of your all in on it. One of the comments from the first speaker on here was, I've never met Mr. Curtis, I have no idea who he is, but he's a very experienced and knowledgeable guy. The guy that you guys are getting with across the street has no idea what he's doing. He had no idea that he'd even open up a campaign or a political action committee. None. He's either the dumbest developer I've ever seen or the wiliest developer I've ever seen. Neither one of those are good for the people in this community. Neither one of them. So today I spoke at length with the people down at the Board of Election, and guess what? Because he received numerous complaints, evidently not by this administration, but by members of the community about this entity. Filed numerous complaints down there, and they finally dragged in this developer who argued that he didn't need to set up a political action committee. But he did on Monday, finally. And what has happened between the time that he started this? He designed, paid for, distributed yard signs with no political action committee. He designed, printed, mailed things to every single person in the city without a political action committee, and nobody said a word. Why am I the one doing this? You guys represent us. I mean, we expect you to do these things to represent our interest. Whether you want 32 to pass or not, you should expect that our laws are followed. When I go through these things, and I have the emails, we can go through them, it bothers me to drive by this thing, this giant sign up there, knowing that everybody knows it's not in compliance. Every single person knows it's there. Emailed the law director, I've emailed the building inspector. I did not email the mayor, but I see that the email is in there. And no one has done anything. We drive by it every day. And ask yourself, what happened between the first complaint and now? I'll tell you what happened. We started to vote. That's what happened. 840 ballots have already gone, 860 ballots have already gone out. Lord knows how many voted down there. If your goal is to keep this up there while the voting is going on, fantastic. That's reprehensible if that's your goal. If your goal is to get this thing passed, this is not the way to do it. I get angry every time I'm up here because what I see is a complete lack of respect for the process that we have here. Our rules, our regulations, all of those things. You all know the rules and regulations. One final piece, and I'll let you go here. Councilwoman Allner, one of the things that I hear in the comments here, your law director absolutely represents the mayor. He also represents the 7 of you. And that comment seems to be repetitively lost in this room. He is your lawyer too. Thank
you. I believe that residents are only allowed to speak once during each comment section.
Okay, I'll table it till next meeting.
I apologize, but that's rules are rules.
My name is Rajesh Pidikiti. I live in 495 Crystal Lake. I'm just wondering whether...
Please.
I was just wondering whether the councilmen have any, this is regarding Lakes of Orange again, so does it have any power in our decision-making process in the city? Or they're just spectators in the whole scenario? Because I don't know what the previous mayor signed, agreed to the, people don't read all the documents. Generally, when they're buying a home, they just want to live peacefully. They look at the records, the school district, oh, the school is fine, we can live happily there. We come here and we buy the house and we realize there are a bunch of, this is whole controlled by a developer and his association with the previous mayor maybe. They didn't have any prior negotiation. It seems like they didn't put some restrictions or regulations on him, whether he cares for the people live there or he cares for himself. It seems at least in the future, the city should take care of, if they have any development, they should make sure the developer needs to look for himself. I know we look for himself, but at least the city look for the welfare of the people, not for the developer. At least does the city takes a note of this, or in the future developments, because we are sure that they're gonna have more developments. It's not possible for us to stop anything here.
All right, comments, Mayor Klein?
Follow that. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and for your comments and your passion for the issues that are before us. It's important to hear from you, to consider what you have to say, and to determine how we may move forward. That being said, I have a number of announcements to make. You may have recently received the Orange newsletter. There's a coloring contest that is ongoing. Please have your aspiring artists, ages 4 to 10, color one of the sketches provided in the website box outside Village Hall, and complete creations can be dropped off at the Village Hall. There'll be some prizes, and they'll be displayed in the Village Hall. Lashana Tova, may you be all well inscribed for a good and healthy year. Happy Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day. Village Hall will be open, and there is no change to trash, recycle, or pick up for Monday. Paper shredding event on Friday, October 18th from 9 a.m. to noon, or if the truck is full, at Orange Village Service Department, 4680 Lander Road. There is a 5-box or bag limit. Leaf collection begins on Monday, October 21st, and runs through Wednesday, November 27th. Let me repeat that. Beginning October 21st and running through November 27th. Orange Village Police and Fire Departments will be participating in the Trunk or Treat event on Friday, October 25th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Pepper Pike Learning Center. Stop by, visit our officers. Trick or Treat will be on Thursday, October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Reminding everybody, voting is Tuesday, November 5th from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Orange Village Hall. You'll have the option of voting by mail or in person. Please note that in-person voting is located at the Cuyahoga County Board of Elections, 2925 Euclid Avenue. Orange Village Service Department will collect campaign signs throughout the village the day after the election. If your signs were removed and you would like to keep them, please contact the Service Department at 440-498-4403. The signs will be taken to the Cuyahoga County Solid Waste District for recycling. Some of you may have received an email from me regarding the formation of committees to focus on a number of different community areas that were raised in the original community engagement survey that I sent out back in February. These categories include sustainability, the parks, Orange Cares, veterans, culture and arts, the centennial, and economic development. We're planning a community committee formation meeting on Tuesday, November 12th at 7 p.m. If you're interested, please attend. Those people who have previously signed up, either through the filing of the engagement survey or at the Party in the Park sign-up forms, I've taken all those names and called them into lists for those various communities and sent them out. Many of you may have noticed when you came into council tonight that there were new security doors that are now in place. They are being programmed and they will be under control shortly. I don't have a date specific for when they will be fully operational, but I want to thank the service department for the work and the craftsmanship. They coordinated the project, they did most of the construction and finished the trim out just this past week and did a wonderful job. I also want to note that we have recently engaged a grant writer to assist in pursuing opportunities for funding for strategic items that the village may want to consider and items we may be purchasing. We have a number of different opportunities to pursue them and need assistance in doing so. I want to, although they've already gone, I want to thank the county and the team from the county that helped us put together the survey. They were incredibly valuable and very diligent in what they did. They helped us in many, many ways. There are a lot of good ideas that came out of this evening, many of which will be part of planning process for upcoming projects to make sure that some of these items are addressed as projects move forward. I also want to make note in the village newsletter that went out, the requirements for the size and placement of signs. Political signs are to be placed behind the right-of-way on private property and not in the right-of-way. Most people don't know what the right-of-way really is. It's hard to identify, but for practical purposes, on the sides of the street that have sidewalks, it's usually behind the sidewalk. On the sides of the streets that do not have sidewalks, it would be behind the power poles or fire hydrants. Generally speaking, those appurtenances fall within the right-of-way. So please pay attention to that as you place your signs out there over and above the issues of size. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things. Orange for the Holidays is progressing. We need to get more information from Pinecrest. I know they're working on it, but I haven't seen them fill in the spreadsheet all with any of their stuff. Anna, what's the deadline you need all this from us? Do you?
I thought you sent an email. I would say if you want it out, because I would say mid-October, 25th.
Okay. I will get on the Pinecrest people to make sure we get information from them. Question for Chief Roberts. You've been quiet this whole meeting, so I figured you get in on the fun too. On Lander Road at the new, I think it's the Community Heritage School, there's a school zone sign up there, and it just says during restricted hours, but it doesn't say what those hours are. Should the hours be up? Is it being enforced? What's the deal with that? I know they painted on the road too.
I've reached out to Chief Dietz at Pepper Pike and asked him if we could meet and talk about that.
Okay.
There's currently no enforcement happening there because of that very reason. There is no known hours of operation. So we're going to get that cleared up. And to note, there are no pedestrians using that school, so.
I can't imagine anyone walks to
It's a
that.
moot point altogether.
Okay. But there will be a times plate posted at some point when.
Yeah, or I would recommend they just, I don't even know that school needs the school zone, but I wasn't involved in the planning of it, so
Okay.
I have a meeting scheduled with Chief Dietz to figure all that out.
Okay. Is that half pepper and half orange on right in that area? That's what I figured. Okay.
Brent, can I piggyback when you're done? I have a question about that.
Sorry?
When you're done, I have a same question about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's also causing a huge backup. While we're very happy to have the property being used, I think it's great. A lot of kids are being late for school because there's just much heavier traffic load. Is there any discussion with them about just doing something about the backup? I mean, it's pretty bad.
That backup's the first time I've heard that this backup is caused by the new school operations. I'll add that to my agenda with Chief Dietz. I haven't seen how they're using that old Beechbrook property. Perhaps there's a way to stack more cars in there if they just change a few things. We've all got some experience in those areas, so we'll make those suggestions if that's what will help.
I don't know that for sure that that's it. It seems like that's the only thing that's changed, and there's a lot more backup than there was.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it, but we'll take both items to Pepper Pike.
Thank you.
I'll let you know.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I have one more thing, but I want Steve Byron to be here for it, and I think he stepped out for just a moment, so I'll come back to it in a little bit. But comments by council members. Phil Madden.
I want to thank everyone who's commented today from our citizens. We appreciate your input. I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Jeff Foster.
The same. I appreciate all the comments, and they've been taken to note, taken to heart. I feel for especially the Orange Lakes people that are going through. That's supposed to be your happy place. I know when I come home, I want my happy place to be my happy place where you chill and relax, and it doesn't sound like you guys can do that, so I feel for you on that note. I neglected last month to mention POW MIA month, which was September, actually 22nd every year. So just as a military member, I'd like to remind people that it's a volunteer community, and that not everybody comes back. So just please can think about that. Also, I was wondering, Bob, is there like some drainage month or something we can do? So when you think about, I have friends in Florida who are like totally getting blown away. Is there a maintenance schedule for the drainage for Orange? I'm trying to put you on a point, but is there something we can do to like make sure people clear out the drains near their house?
I'll talk loud enough so I don't have to walk over it, but annually we inspect every single catch basin in the village. It's part of our stormwater management plan. We do routine catch basin cleaning, so on and so forth. We send out information in the fall about people with the leaf collection that the mayor talked about not stacking leaves in ditches that end up blocking drive culverts and catch basin inlets and stuff like that. So all storm sewer drainage is investigated when there's problems, but yes, we do routine maintenance annually every year.
Is there a month for that or something?
We do that in the spring after the winter is when we go out, and that sets up our program for our maintenance schedules and cleaning and stuff like that through the summer.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else, Jeff?
That's it. Thanks.
Back to my last point. I had one thing I want to bring up with you here. I sent a message out to all the council members this morning about potentially moving the council meeting schedule from the first and second Wednesdays of each month to the first and third Wednesdays of each month. It sounds like there is a roadblock, Stacy, that might come up that prevents that.
Yeah, I serve as a liaison for Kiwanis, and it's the meetings have been scheduled for the third Wednesday of the month through this year. I mean, it's something that through the school year. So it's booked up, and we have guests and everyone else expected, and it's a place I need to be. I'd hate to upset their schedule, which has been set at least through May. It's certainly something that I'd be willing to consider after May, going into the summer months and next fall, but it does make for a difficult place for me right now to change it out.
Kim, are you involved in that too?
I am, but I'm also just opposed to it in general, even going forward, for the reasons that I sent to you.
It sounds like would make that change.
Well, Pepper Pike has requested it. The Pepper Pike has asked to go to alternate Wednesdays. Go back and say that that's not possible here.
Yeah, at the time being, it's something sounds like we can maybe revisit it mid-year, so we can do that any time, right? We can make that change.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, so for the time being, it sounds like meetings will stay the first and second Wednesdays of each month. Stacy Vincent.
Thank you. I know how precious a commodity time is, so I want to thank all of you for yours and sitting here and coming forward and taking the time to send us letters and writing to us. It does matter, so thank you. I want to express my incredible gratitude to our mayor, our council president, our fire chief, our police chief, and all who participated in the incredible weekend of Centennial events. from the Touch-A-Truck to the parade to the security throughout to just being on hand for the alumni and staff. Welcome Home event. I could not be more appreciative or proud of my hometown, proud to be from Orange Village, and proud of the wonderful display of excellence from all of our communities throughout. I want to thank all in Orange Village, and there are lots of you who made my life easier by lending a hand, and to all in our community who were involved in every single way in this massive, massive undertaking, from being involved in planning it to being there to cheer on the parade and everything in between. It made a difference. So thank you all for an amazing weekend. Excellence in schools is always good for the community, so I wanted to share that 12 students were recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation, including 9 commended students and 3 semifinalists. One of those semifinalists was our own Ben Way, who was here before council last year, who had the perfect ACT score. He is one of those, and we also had a commended student, Elise Kemp, who is an Orange Village resident, so I want to congratulate them. Also, a wonderful icing on the celebration of excellence was a state report card with 5 stars in each of 5 categories, giving Orange a perfect 25 stars. The schools also received gold recognition on the AP School Honor Roll. I won't go into detail on either of those for time's sake, but you can listen to the Orange School Board minutes or go on the website for more information about any of those. The board adopted some of the aforementioned policies that we've discussed here, including use of district premises, limiting public use to outside the hours of 7 to 4 on school days, and when students are not using the various spaces, and clarified the animals on school district property policy, noting that pet walking for recreation or leisure would also need to be done outside the hours of 7 to 4 on school days, and not near building entrances and exits, play areas, and bus loading and unloading areas. I know a lot of us have pets. It's a beautiful campus, but I wanted everyone to be aware of those new policies. In discussion about testing as it related to the AP exams, the board wanted to remind all families, which is why I'm bringing it up here, of the importance of the free and reduced lunch program application, which also means getting reduced or waived fees for testing for those who qualify. So please get the word out, apply for that. Planning and zoning met on October 1st and approved 3 exterior home additions, and then had a lengthy discussion about the potential tree preservation code revision. It came up, you saw it today. I won't go into detail about that right now. There's lots more information to come on that, and you're all always welcome to come to the Planning and Zoning meeting to hear more and learn more, but I do want to thank everyone involved in this. It's a wonderful opportunity to make sure we do preserve and protect the trees in the village and replant where we can and we're able to. The addition of Phase 8 to Lakes of Orange, as you all know now, will be up for discussion and potential vote at the next meeting for Planning and Zoning on October 15th. It will be here. I encourage you all to come again and make sure the Planning and Zoning members hear your voices too. The Orange for the Holidays was mentioned, but I do, in case anyone in a new business in Orange Village, it's not just about Pinecrest, but all the businesses in Orange Village are welcome to participate. If you don't know about the coupon book, you should. It's a wonderful product where you get a benefit by shopping local, and you'll get a coupon for something, and the businesses get your business. So it's a wonderful program all around. If there are any new businesses in the area, and we haven't already reached out to you, please reach out to us so we can include you in this book. It's free unless you're a sponsor, and then it's just a small contribution to get the book out. As we look ahead to the solemn holiday of Yom Kippur, I want to wish all of my Jewish neighbors a safe and easy fast, and pray that all of the hostages captured in last year's horrific massacre and are still being held are released early in this new year. I also want to pay my respects to the families of 2 lifetime Orange Village residents, one who recently passed away and one who had a memorial mass. And I want to thank the Boyle family, actually, for bringing one of them to my attention, because I didn't know them well. John Hansel, who lived on West Woodcrest, and Betty Radis, who lived on Fairview Drive. Both are original owners and lived out their entire lives at their homes in Orange Village. The Hansels volunteered at the Orange Election Center and leave behind a great legacy of community. And Betty Radis was 97 years young. She had 13 children, and the youngest was a classmate of mine at Orange, so I've known her most of my life. And another one of her children was my 5th grade teacher. Betty loved community. Betty loved Orange Village. I was so honored to see her at the polls last November at 96 years of age with her brilliant smile, so happy to be a part of our democratic process. I ask everyone to remember her by please remembering to vote on November 5th. It matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Olner.
Thanks. Hispanic Heritage Month is coming to a close. It runs from September 15th to October 15th each year, which is a nod to the anniversaries of national independence for a number of Latin American countries. Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, where my children are from, Honduras, and Nicaragua all recognize September 15th as the date of their independence. And Mexico's independence is celebrated September 16th, and Chile celebrates its independence on September 18th. While our village does not have a large number of Hispanics in our community, there are some, and I want to encourage all of our residents to take a moment to learn something about the histories, cultures, and contributions that Hispanic Americans have made to our country and to our community. It would be lovely to embrace and make all members feel welcome here. I was appreciative that the mayor invited me to join him in a meeting where Chief Roberts was as well. And if it's okay with you, I'll report a little bit about this. We met with the chief of police and fire for Shaker, the vice mayor of Shaker, as well as the woman who runs their call program. It sounds like an absolutely amazing program, which we are hoping to work to bring to our village. I know that the mayor and Chief Roberts are doing some follow-up work on that, which I greatly appreciate. But basically, in a nutshell, they are running this now in Shaker and 4 other communities, and it's an opportunity to bring mental health help to those who need it on calls with police. So the police make sure that the scene is secure and the mental health professional can go in. But rather than taking somebody to an ER to be evaluated, that person can get help right there at their home. And there's follow-up as well, which is really important to make sure that people are getting the help they need. Additionally, those resources are available then for the employees of those municipalities, and they'd be available, if we're able to bring it here, it would be something that we can offer to our employees. So if an employee is involved in a shooting, for example, I'm sure that there is some trauma, and it would be a helpful thing if they can talk to somebody. So I just think overall the program, everything that I've learned about it so far sounds absolutely phenomenal, and I'm super appreciative of the mayor really helping follow up on this and supporting it, as well as our chiefs, so that we can try to bring that here. I think it's, I don't have a lot of details yet. It's not here yet, but it is being worked on, and I just think it's going to be a great thing for our community. This was asked of me, and I didn't find it. Maybe I'm missing it. But the village's codified ordinances are not on the website, right? On the Orange website, or are they?
There's a button on there for ordinances. Yep.
Okay. Can we make it more prominent or something? So I don't know. Just so I missed it, but I've had a couple people ask me about it, and I actually had to ask Steve for the link, and he sent it to me. And people do apparently want to see what our ordinances are and be able to have a link.
The first button on the mobile. I don't
know. I'm not on the mobile thing. Normally, I'm on the
first button that comes up.
All right. But. Or maybe in the newsletter we can.
Make it
I don't know, somehow I missed it, and somehow a couple residents have missed it. I've been asked about it, and I thought, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have on there, so I apologize that I've missed it. Issue 32, I'm going to just say, because voting is coming, and I know that I am the only member of council who was against it and voted against it consistently. And I want to make sure that people understand why, because I've been asked by a few people about why I feel the way I do. And for me, it's a transparency issue and it's a fairness issue. When I hear from people who own property next to that property that they don't want it, I listen. I think that's important. To me, if I buy a house and my neighbor is zoned one way, I ought to be able to depend on the fact that their zoning stays the same. That's what I bought. And when I bought, there's housing that property was zoned a certain way. I think it's a fairness issue. And I just think that, as I said previously, process does matter, and I do have concerns about the process in this. Mr. Boyle raised an issue. It did not go unnoticed by at least this council member that the signs and the mailer did not follow the law with respect to noting about who paid for them. But to my knowledge, that has to be enforced by the Board of Elections. I'm not aware that that Orange has any ability to do anything about that, to remove the signs or to address it in any way. I think it has to be addressed by the Board of Elections or the Secretary of State, which is unfortunately meaningless, in my opinion, because it happens after the election. It does nothing. But I do think that it says something about the developer, and I have grave concerns about that. I'm sure he's a nice person. I am not commenting on him personally. I don't know him personally. But I do have concerns. And I want to make sure that given that others in village government have had the ability to utilize village resources to sway a different way, I'm taking my 2 seconds here at council to give my input. I think that people should be voting no. It's not that I'm against building. They can build on that property, but they should follow the zoning that currently exists. That's a fairness issue. Not against builders, I'm not against developers. I'm just saying it should stay the zoning the way it is. So there's that. And the only other thing that was brought up earlier was shots being heard and people from Lakes of Orange having to call the Warrensville Heights Police Department. I would be concerned about that and wonder if perhaps Chief Roberts can look into, I don't know, the safety concerns that were clearly front of mind for some of our residents, and I think are valid concerns if there are shots being fired nearby. So, and I wish everybody a good fast as well who are fasting, and thank you.
All right.
Ryan.
No, don't worry. Well, happy and healthy New Year to all who celebrate. I also would definitely take a moment to recognize that Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day. And for those who don't, or who weren't aware, please, read up a little history on that. I think it's an important part of life, and it's it's a place that I spend my day job working in. So it's an important thing. But, and then the last thing I'll just say is I heard every single person who spoke tonight, and I appreciate everything you all had to say. I don't know what the answer is for the folks, especially the Lakes of Orange situation, but I'm going to continue to look into it. I hope there's something that, if there's anything that we can do, we'll certainly try to help you in any way we can. I don't know what that is, or if there's a appropriate legal answer to that, but happy to try to figure it out until can't go any further on the topic. So thank you all for coming out. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ryan. Lisa.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and speaking too. You all are wonderful to stand up here and tell us what you're thinking and feeling. It makes a big difference, and we do want to help. I'm going to say I have no other report, so we can go home.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Don't we have to? Because it's.
Oh, okay.
Hold on there, I don't know.
All right. He didn't know.
If there's nothing else on the agenda, Sherry has the right to adjourn the meeting. Information.